So to the Indiana Fever again, you need to go get you someone with some muscle. Somebody that's coming to the defense of Caitlin Clark. It shouldn't be Caitlin Clark.
Did you just hear that? Green's warning comes in handy as the Indiana Fever prepares for next season. Clark, who is undoubtedly the face of women's basketball, deserves far better protection from both her teammates and even the entire WNBA.
She's the reason the WNBA just won the lottery. Without Caitlin Clark, nobody cares about any of these players or the league. With her, most people still don't care, but a lot more people care than did before, and everybody knows that.
Before Caitlin Clark came into the WNBA, the league was the butt of every joke.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the WNBA just because it's not good.
But Clark's arrival marked a turning point. Take a look at these two numbers, 7,645 and 15,591. The first is the average WNBA attendance without Caitlin Clark. The second? That's when Clark steps on the court.
The WNBA, largest viewership in WNBA history.
Wow. Yeah.
Caitlin Clark has definitely changed women's basketball forever. But here's the thing. Nobody warned her about the price she'd have to pay. Single-season assists, obliterated. Rookie scoring, left in shambles. What about the most points by a guard in WNBA history? Well, that's just another milestone in Caitlin Clark's wake.
I just said she good, dog. Damn, why it's so deep?
But while arenas sell out faster than Taylor Swift concerts and TV ratings shoot through the roof, a troubling issue keeps threatening to overshadow what could be the greatest story in women's sports history.
What is going on in these streets? Whenever you bring up Caitlin Clark, it's almost like if you say Caitlin Clark's name, it's like saying Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. It's like that polarizing.
The question isn't whether Caitlin Clark is a superstar. It's why the entire WNBA wants to see her fail. As the headline says, this just doesn't feel right at all. Some others, like Candace Parker, deny that the WNBA's viewership went up because of Caitlin Clark.
ABC, it was the first time they put the women's NCAA game on ABC. Was the first year that Caitlin Clark made the championship game. Are you surprised that the viewership was up? Are you surprised that people actually saw the product?
Well, let's talk about Candace Parker for a minute. This is the same voice that's been screaming about networks burying women's sports for years. Yet when the biggest star in decades arrives, capable of commanding national attention and elevating the entire sport, Parker's passionate advocacy suddenly turns into jealousy. While Parker's broader point about media neglect was valid, she basically dismissed Clark's impact. Instead of celebrating Clark's role in putting the league on the map, Parker's comments felt like an attempt to downplay her influence. Let's play the video again.
ABC, it was the first time they put the women's NCAA game on ABC. Was the first year that Caitlin Clark made the championship game. Are you surprised that the viewership was up? Are you surprised that people actually saw the product?
Jason Whitlock, who is famous for taking no prisoners, sums it up perfectly.
There's a huge war over credit. Who's going to get credit for the growth of women's basketball?
He goes on to say this.
They would rather argue and wrestle, this time politely, relatively politely, but they just want to take these subtle jabs of, no, it's not Caitlin Clark. This was all happening before Caitlin Clark.
On the court, Clark has been a target for aggressive play and questionable officiating. I mean, the treatment that Clark has received has gone from competitive to concerning.
Seattle, and all of a sudden, we're pretty close. This has been as close as it's been.
In another chilling example, when she was playing against the Connecticut Sun, she was fouled multiple times, including being slapped in the face, yet the referees didn't call anything. Against the same opponent, Dijonai Carrington pokes her in the eye, yet no whistle was blown, no foul, nothing.
This Caitlin Clark's trying to pass the ball in the first 2 minutes of the game, and this woman swats at the basketball and somehow decides to turn her hand down and her fingernails and jab them right into the eye of Caitlin Clark.
But it gets worse. Chicago's Chennedy Carter deliberately throws a shoulder into an unsuspecting Clark, sending her crashing to the floor. And what happens next? Angel Reese, Clark's longtime rival, cheers from the bench like she's watching a highlight reel.
You know it's real hate. Like, that's a real hate moment, bro.
The animosity was palpable, and it's hard to ignore the personal undertones in these interactions. Fans were outraged, and even ESPN broadcasters couldn't believe what they were seeing. Is it jealousy? Resentment over her fame and endorsement deals? Or is it simply the natural tension that comes with being a young, dominant player in a competitive league? Well, the pattern has become so blatant that fans aren't just angry, they're demanding investigations. It can't be accidental at this point, one observer noted, their voice dripping with suspicion. Another fan posed a question that should keep WNBA executives up at night. Why do all the players evidently seem to be intentionally trying to hurt Clark during the games, and nobody does anything about it? As Dave Portnoy put it, this is the most automatic call in the league. How do you miss this? How indeed? The pattern is becoming impossible to ignore. When Sabrina Ionescu says, "We understand who kind of the head of the monster is on that team," she's not just talking about strategy, she's revealing a mentality that's permeating the league. Things have deteriorated to such an extent that NBA enforcer Draymond Green, the same man who's made a career out of walking the line between tough and dirty play, had to call for the Fever to sign an enforcer to protect Clark, much like Green has done for Steph Curry in the NBA.
So to the Indiana Fever again, you need to go get you someone with some muscle. Somebody that's coming to the defense of Caitlin Clark. It shouldn't be Caitlin Clark.
Off the court, Clark has found herself at the center of controversies that have little to do with basketball. Some critics have accused her of benefiting from her race, branding her as the latest great white hope. Others have argued that she isn't doing enough to condemn racism faced by black players. It's a no-win situation. On one side, she's accused of gaining undue attention because of her race. On the other, she's criticized for not taking a stronger stand on social issues. Bill Maher weighed in on the situation, suggesting that much of the backlash against Clark stems from her race and even her sexuality. According to Meyer, these factors have shaped how both fans and players perceive her success.
The league is very.
His comments added fuel to an already heated conversation, forcing many to confront the uncomfortable truths about bias in sports. Even her endorsements have been a source of tension. Nike signed Clark to a major shoe deal, a move that highlighted her growing influence. But instead of celebrating her as one of their marquee athletes, Nike has kept her promotion low-key. Many speculate that the brand is trying to avoid upsetting other players or fans who may feel overshadowed by Clark's rising star. It's a puzzling decision, especially when Clark's games have consistently drawn sold-out crowds and boosted TV ratings for the league. Meanwhile, ESPN host Pat McAfee had to step in to address the elephant in the room, the claims that Clark's race has played a role in her success. He passionately argued that her impact on the league's popularity is based purely on talent.
Whoa. This is this right here.
Caitlin Clark again?
Whoa, wait a minute.
How?
But the question remains, why does this even need to be said? Why are we discussing anything other than her extraordinary abilities on the court? Through this storm of jealousy and targeted aggression, Clark maintains a dignity that puts her critics to shame. After being knocked to the ground by Carter, she simply said, "Respond, calm down, and let your play do the talking. It is what it is. It's a physical game." This is from a player who's facing what appears to be orchestrated physical targeting. The most devastating part? This treatment isn't just hurting Clark. It's threatening to undermine the very progress of women's basketball. When you have a player who's bringing unprecedented attention to your league, someone who's making people care about women's basketball like never before, shouldn't you protect them? Celebrate them? Instead, we're watching what looks like a coordinated effort to break her spirit. Clark's own words on addressing toxic behavior in the league ring with painful irony. Nobody in our league should be facing any sort of racism, hurtful, disrespectful, hateful comments and threats. Those aren't fans, those are trolls. And it's a real disservice to the people in our league. Yet here we are, watching as one of the game's brightest stars faces what appears to be systematic targeting both on and off the court. Again, through it all, Clark continues to rise above. Her poise under pressure, her willingness to speak out, and her ability to dominate the game have made her an icon in the making. However, the WNBA must do more to support her. Protecting Clark should be a priority, not an afterthought. Whether it's ensuring fair officiating, addressing player tensions, or promoting its most marketable athletes, the league has a responsibility to create an environment where players like Caitlin Clark can thrive. Clark's endorsement deals, sold-out arenas, and television revenue are putting money in everyone's pockets. She's not just succeeding, she's elevating the entire league. As one commentator aptly put it, she's the rising tide that's lifting all boats. But instead of gratitude, she's met with resentment. Instead of protection, she faces increasingly dangerous physical play. Caitlin Clark's journey is a story of brilliance and resilience. She's faced adversity at every turn, yet she continues to prove why she's one of the most exciting athletes in the world. Her story isn't just about basketball. It's about overcoming obstacles, challenging norms, and carving out a place in a world that doesn't always make space for greatness. As the WNBA looks to the future, it's clear that Caitlin Clark is central to its growth. The question is, will the league recognize this and stand behind her, or will it allow the petty rivalries and systemic issues to hold her back? For now, one thing is certain. Caitlin Clark isn't going anywhere, and her impact on the game has only just begun. Now check out this video of how Karma visited 2 of Caitlin Clark's bullies whom we mentioned earlier. Thanks for watching.